Welcome to the Stay Paid podcast, where we help agents and entrepreneurs master the latest business trends to unlock growth and create a life of freedom. Brought to you by Reminder Media.
Hey, Stay Paid listeners, as you guys know, we do a ton of content with the folks over at BAM Media. In fact, Luke is a featured creator over there. Well, they are hosting the real estate event of the year this October. You'll hear from some of the rockstar podcast guests that we've had, like Ricky Carruth, the Broke Agent, Byron Lazine, and the one and only Luke Acree himself. To get 25% off your ticket, visit bammania.com and use code REMINDER at checkout. That's BAMMania, BAMMANIA.com, and use code REMINDER at checkout. Can't wait to see you there. Welcome to Stay Paid. My name is Joshua Stike.
And I'm Luke Acree.
And before we bring on our guest today, we'd love it if you take a minute to subscribe to Stay Paid on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you're not already subscribed,
It would mean the world to us.
While you're there, drop us a review. It will mean the world to us. So much so, we'll read your review here on the show. Our special guests today are Jay O'Brien and Jeff Jackel, co-founders of Client Giant, an automated engagement platform for client care and employee happiness. Jay serves as the chief day maker, driving the client experiences for business owners in diverse industries, including real estate, insurance, and financial services. And Jeff is the chief strategy officer, providing a visionary approach that has led to Client Giant delivering over 1 million magic moments to clients. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much.
Hey, I'm super excited to have you guys on. We got to meet at the first time we met, I guess, Tom Ferry Conference, the Elite Retreat. You guys are crushing it. We've known of Client Giant. It's awesome. Now, I have to admit this out of the gate. I'm using Snappy for my employee gifting.
Boy.
Yeah, Snappy. They're a competitor of yours, right? Didn't you tell me that at one point?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. We got to talk about this because I just signed a check today for like $3,400 to Snappy, and I'm signing those all the time, I feel like. So, like, why are you guys better than Snappy? And ultimately, what's the difference? Snappy is a gifting platform, ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know, where our managers can give gifts to employees, and we can give gifts to employees or allow them to go on and buy gifts. I think I understand it correctly. But yeah, come on, hit me.
I'm gonna.
It's the Client Giant, but I need a reason.
I'm gonna start by saying that we think that any company or people out there who are making it their business to help people make other people feel good and special is doing something good. We just happen to believe, we just happen to believe that we do it in a way that creates more impact, feels more genuine, and does it well. So a big difference is technically, right? And
has that been the key to Client Giant? Is the like the way you do gifting, like the authentic nature of the gifts?
Yeah. So two things about it. And
high level synopsis of Client Giant. Sorry to hit you right out of the gate, but maybe a high level synopsis of Client Giant, and then go into the difference. Yeah.
So, okay, high level, essentially what we do is automate thoughtfulness for business owners and operators. So essentially you're deciding who you're going to take care of. It could be clients, it could be employees, it could be vendors, it could, et cetera. And you essentially decide, look, I want to nurture this relationship in a way that's actually real and authentic and honestly doesn't have anything overtly to do with the business we transact, right? With me making money from you or me running a business because you work for us. It's not necessarily because you are a salesperson at my organization and just brought in a whole bunch of deals. It's because you, in the employee situation, right? It's because you are a human being who is deciding to spend 8 hours a day of your life away from your family on this mission that we care about, right? And you're taking this chunk of your career and spending it with us. And we appreciate that regardless of everything else. So our approach is very data driven in terms of impact. So that's another reason for it. It's like taking care of somebody for just being a human being that's part of your organization is very, very different than just taking care of somebody because it's their birthday or because of an achievement or, that's what makes the impact. What that means in terms of the differences that we have is doing things, again, for real impact. So, for example, we always say, if you're going to give a gift, right? Like, to me, it does not feel like a gift if I get a link in an email and then I'm sent to a small store of options to then purchase something for myself out of this small Shopify site, essentially, right?
That's the happy model, basically. Yeah.
That's not to say that your employees don't appreciate getting a link and being able to pick something. from sort of an online catalog. But if you were with us and the system knew that this person you're talking about or whoever's being taken care of in that $3,400, let's say we know that it's a father of two who's married and he loves golf and he whatever, and something just arrives at his house that might be something based on his interests, right? That's just a gift. There's just a box on the doorstep and it's from Luke. It's from Luke and Josh, whatever. That's a whole different feeling. Or doing something that takes care of, that creates an experience that he can have with his family because the system knows that he's got kids that are under the age of 7, and that just hits them on a doorstep. It feels very different than a link in an email where I pick something out for myself. So that's kind of one element, as well as the messaging, the timing, the packaging. Everything is kind of meticulously taken care of to get maximum impact based on the data we have from millions of touches. And then the last big differentiator is automation. So you should, and I don't know how much you guys have to trigger things with your current solution, but our belief is you got a few hundred people in the organization. You should decide everybody should be taken care of to this level based on their role in the company. And I don't want to think about anything else, right? Like this is going to be $300 a year to take care of so-and-so and these 50 people. The system just takes care of everything else, learns the information about their family, learns the information about their start date and their work anniversary and their personal anniversary and their kids' birthdays and then just fires on them love that feels like it's coming from you, but really it's all automated.
So the gifts are selected based on those data points that you're putting in.
Yeah, in some cases they're, I don't want to say generic, but in some cases at low-level plans, they are kind of the best possible impact we can make without having information, because not everyone's going to answer things, right? But when we do have information about recipients inside of an organization, like an employee situation, then you'll play off people's passions. We call it essentially like the whole idea is caring on this person, not because of the work they do. So that lends itself to like, because I know that Luke is a workout fiend and literally spends 40 hours a week in the gym. Look at him.
Yeah.
I'm
I like this. Keep going, gentlemen.
I'm probably we're going to learn that. We'll support that passion because it's something that he's passionate about outside of the realm of work. And when you can support someone's passion or their family and the things that mean something to them outside of their role at your company, that's how you create loyalty. That's how that person knows that you really care about them.
I love that. It's almost like a pattern interrupt. Everybody expect this is like the main problem in business, that we also play the same angle as you guys a little bit differently. That's why I love you guys. I think there's a lot of synergy. Is most businesses market transactionally because they're trying to sell services, right? They're trying to sell product. And the problem with that is it's the lottery. You're trying to reach people at the bottom of the funnel when they're the 1% that are in the buying mode for that product or service. But the reality is 99% of that person's life, especially if you think real estate, which is the biggest use case. I don't know if it's your biggest client base. It's definitely ours. Is, average person's moving every 11 years, maybe 7 years. Well, 99% of their time over that 7 years has nothing to do with real estate. It has things to do with travel, art, food, design, kids, vacations, those type of things. But yet, what do we do as real estate agents? We just bombard them with just listed, just sold, market updates. And then we wonder why they see us transactionally and why they don't come back to us and they go to the competition. But yet you ask all real estate agents, is this a relationship-based business? And what do they say? Yes, of course. It's a relationship. Well, if it's a relationship-based business, why are you spending the majority of your time, energy, and money on things that don't actually build the relationship? And I just got off a webinar. I was sharing this example of like Garrett Maroon, a client of ours. He only has like 300 relationships in his database, but he closed 86 deals last year. You really don't need a lot of core relationships to have a stellar real estate business. They just have to be real relationships. I don't know if you guys have seen similar, but that's what our experience has been.
Yeah, ultimately, we're selling a feeling. So gifts are just kind of a vehicle to evoke a feeling. And the gift itself is almost entirely irrelevant. What you're doing is illustrating thoughtfulness. And to your point, Luke, is you're interrupting a pattern of some kind. So if something just shows up at your door that you were not expecting, and there is a reason behind why it showed up, because the sentiment I had to want to give this to you for this reason, it becomes less about what this thing is and more about the reason and the message and how thoughtful it was. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is illustrate a point here that the recipient, it's not a, well, that was nice, or this is a perk at my job. It's to get them in the mindset of, I would have to be crazy to work somewhere else. I would have to be crazy to work with someone else as a real estate agent, financial advisor, whatever it is, because this person actually cares about me so much. And to your point about a relationship-based business, you are now actually harnessing a relationship because you're illustrating that thoughtfulness constantly, as opposed to, dude, here's a gift card and you should buy some stuff with it. It's like, that's great and that's really nice, but I'm probably not going to be thinking about that when I'm offered this job over here, someone's trying to poach me, or another real estate agent over here. I'm probably not thinking, but dude, remember that time I got to pick out AirPods? No, probably not thinking about that. But if I'm like, dude, I hear from this person like every 3 months and they like are talking about my family, they're sending me stuff before I go on vacation in the summer. I mean, like, they really care about me. So instead, before I make that decision to jump ship, if I even do, I'll at least have the conversation with the person and give them the opportunity to win me over, right? So that's ultimately what it is. As much as people say like, oh, so you run a gifting company, and even internally, you kind of get caught up in that. It's like, it's really not what we do. It's illustrating thoughtfulness in a unique way. And we happen to automate that so business owners and operators don't even have to think about it.
I love that. How do you do gifts well? Like, that's the thing we've always talked about, is like, how do you do gifting well? Because it's too expensive. Almost. It's like to buy, I don't know, I'm making this up, but like a gift basket for somebody. It's expensive. You might have to spend, I don't know what a gift basket costs today, but let's say $50, $60 on that. And that's one touch, right?
That's a small gift basket.
And it's probably
very
small.
small.
There you go, right? You can tell I haven't done a gift basket for people in a while.
Or Megan.
She doesn't like gift baskets, okay, people? She just likes my love and adoration. No. But how do you do it well and not come across as like cheap or chintzy? Like, how are you guys kind of walking that line to not break my budget? But what are some of the ideas that you see work well in the gifting space?
So we know your budget because you've set it and then you're done. So we know what world we can play in based on what you budgeted for that recipient. And there's two components on the gift giving side. One that I'd say most people miss out on is simply remembering, right? Like, oh my God, it was their birthday on Tuesday. Like, how did I forget that? Or even thinking like, man, sending something out of the blue, that's a really cool idea. Like, I used to do that, but I haven't done it in 2 years, or like I forget to do it, or we get so busy or whatever. So remembering to do it and executing is the number one thing. But even if you had a calendar reminder that said like, okay, send a gift next Tuesday, send a gift next Friday. Cool. I've remembered to do it. Now what? What am I going to send? And that's often where even a bigger misstep takes place, because they're like, well, it's been a while since I reached out to John, so we got to make sure we send something to him to stay top of mind. So I'm going to send him this dope water bottle, and it's going to have client shine on it. Like, that way my brand's always seen. That's the way I'm always in their face. And it's like, no. John's not thinking, hell yeah, I was waiting for a water bottle to be plastered with someone else's company logo on it. It's just not how people think. And business owners just can't seem to get out of their own way. So we're constantly helping with that piece of it. So the good news for you and any business owner that's like, okay, here's my budget. Here's kind of like the realm I want to play in. Go. We take over everything there. We know psychologically how someone's going to react to a gift, a message. We curate everything, and we're giving you a heads up along the way. So it's all through a digital platform, through our software suite. So you're going to see what John's going to get before it goes out. And if for some reason you're like, oh my God, that's totally not right for him, or the message is wrong, or the timing is terrible, he just like lost his dog yesterday and you're sending him a movie night in experience, weird, like, okay, you have control and visibility, but it's designed in a way where you don't have to choose anything, you don't have to confirm anything. If you don't do anything, it just goes.
Yeah.
But Luke, to give you a couple of like secrets, or give a couple of secrets away, just in case you do start ordering gift baskets for people, which doesn't sound like you're about to. There are some tenets. Like, I always tell people, what we do, sure, it results in like a real physical, organic feeling gift that arrives at a doorstep and surprises somebody. But at the end of the day, like I wasn't in real estate. Like I'm a data dork. I'm a tech dude. Like this is all technology. So like to give a few secrets away in terms of actual gift items, for example, like gift baskets, it's very rare. While there are some cases where it actually drives impact, consumables like that are not like a big part of what we deliver to people, right? They're not a big part of our gifting kind of buckets for a couple of obvious reasons, right? If I can do something that is impactful and lives in your home in like in a nice way that you want to keep in there, there's a lasting staying power, right? Like when we joke about Jay talks about things that are branded, it's like people do this so wrong. They do the knives with their name on it. They're like, you're going to be cutting vegetables and seeing my name. Like that's never, we know that there's an 86% chance that thing gets thrown away right off the bat, right? So like statistically, there's a very small percentage of items that are branded like that even stay in a household. So if you can do something that's going to live forever in a home, right, and be in a focal point, that's kind of like a viral or a coefficient, right? If you can do things that allows the recipients to like experience things together, that also drives impact. So like a lot of things that we have massive success with are, like Jay mentioned, like a movie night in experience. If I gift that to you and you've got a couple of young kids or maybe a wife or husband, right, and you enjoy a really nice, like time at home with like old school popcorn, and old school movie theater candy, and it's like a night that gets made for you, that's a night that you're going to remember. People remember experiences like that, and their relationship with you is naturally tied to that psychologically.
I love that.
But the truth of it is, again, when I say like at the end of the day, I'm a data dork and this is a tech company, we know that over 80% of the impact of a gift is the reason for it and not even the item itself. So like when Jay said the gifts don't actually matter, they're a vehicle. Because we control everything, right? And you can take all of those things, even if you don't do it with us, do it on your own and take those kind of little tidbits. But because we control everything in our experience, that means that the messaging and the timing and the packaging and the whole unboxing experience, we control it, what it looks like on your doorstep. Like that's all kind of thought of. So that's all the experience that creates the impact, even more than whatever ends up, specifically in the box of why it went to you is what makes a big impact.
I was going to say it makes so much sense too. One, somebody gave me I guess it was a Cutco knife with my name on it.
Yeah.
Which is still just as weird because it's still my house though. Got to give them credit. Still my house. But every time I cut with it, I see Luke Acree's name on this knife and I'm like, this is just so freaking weird.
It's better.
Dude, I same thing. I have a Cutco knife at my house with my name on it that a lender gifted me. And by the way, they put my name and they put my phone number on it and they got the area code wrong. So it is the weirdest knife ever.
But it almost played to the advantage because it's memorable. Yeah. Maybe not
totally.
in the way today. But that's so
By the
funny.
way, the fact that this thing still lives in Jay's house, I almost don't believe it. I'm gonna call BS because like literally stuff doesn't stay at Jay's house for 5 seconds.
Hey, it's an 8-inch chef's knife and I use it, but every time it kind of has the opposite effect. You're like, man, this is just the weirdest thing ever.
It is
weird.
weird.
You don't want to be that guy.
Got that so many times when I've used it off and on. I'm like, this is so weird. My name's on this knife. But then you said a stat that was it like 80% of the impact of a gift is the timing and the reason behind the gift. And I think
messaging and reasoning. So like, I'll give you a couple of fun examples that like it's the easiest way to have it try to hit home. So like we actually haven't done this as Client Giant, but quick backstory. Jay was obviously in real estate. I was in tech. Jay was in real estate. He was a realtor in Orange County, doing really, really well. At whatever point, he like checked his reviews, right? All of his Zillow reviews, 5 stars, whatever, for basically like having a pulse, right? Like being knowledgeable and getting back to people whenever. And, he basically said like, I'm screwed because that's not a differentiator. So he completely reworked his whole, orientation of what he was going to focus on just this experience. And he started delivering what we now do with automation to his clients at the time, meaning like you went through a transaction and all throughout an entire 30, 60-day transaction, like you're getting loved on and gifts are coming to you. And when it's the stressful time, you get a stress relief themed thing. And when I start thinking about moving boxes, like moving boxes just show up and it's all taken care of. And then a month after, he's been paid and most people would be in Mexico. By the way, so I'll say it first person. I get a call because I met him because we were his client.
Wow.
So my wife and I got married. We were his client. He did this to us. And I'm like, who does this? So a month after we bought our house, we get a call from, the maitre d' at a really nice restaurant in Newport. And they say like, Mr. O'Brien would love to have you guys any night. Round trip transportation will be included. What night would you like to come to dinner? And I'm like, what the hell? So long story short, he does this, explodes, becomes top 30 under 30 in the country with NAR, starts speaking all over the world, telling people all this kind of stuff.
Amazing.
Here's what you need to do. And everybody, of course, says they're going to do it and they don't do it. So that's when we automate it. But so he was doing this to people. So I was a recipient of the Client Giant experience before we started Client Giant. So I'll give you an example from back then why messaging is a totally different thing. One winter we got an umbrella in the mail. And the message says, it's going to be a particularly rainy winter, right? So you could send that and you could just say, here's an umbrella. You say nothing, right? That has some impact where you're like, you sent me an umbrella? Well, okay, it's going to be a rainy winter. If the card says it's going to be a really rainy winter, here's an umbrella for you, then okay, I get a message. I get like something from it, but it's not impactful. His message says, here's an umbrella. It's going to be a really rainy winter. You may already have one. Keep this in the trunk in case you find a pedestrian in need. It's your chance to be the hero. Have a great winter, right? So now he basically won. I mean, this is all like, he didn't know that he wasn't strategically doing this, I don't think, at the time, but like, you make the person that you're caring about the hero in their own story, and you just impacted them, right? Another example, we sent dryer balls once as Client Giant, right? And if I told you like people got dryer balls all across the country, 80,000 people or whatever, you'd be like, hey, what's a dryer ball?
Yeah.
Right? So first of all, if you don't have dryer balls, we got to send you dryer balls.
Learned what they are recently because Megan started using them. My wife started using them. I was like, what are these like white little?
What are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're wool. Okay, so this is for Josh. They're wool ball. The good ones are all real wood balls. They go in your dryer, and they bounce around with all of your stuff. And what they do is they pull moisture. So they cut down your drying time by over 50%. They actually create longevity of the clothes because it's softer than banging around each other. But here's the point: we gave dryer balls to people, and if I just say that, you're like, what? That sounds like the weirdest thing in the entire world. Well, we did it around Earth Day. And we partnered with a company called Friendsheep, right, which is owned by it's female owned and operated. I believe the woman is a paraplegic, right? She had a really amazing life and a really intense story. She hires only impoverished women in Nepal who make these by hand, and then they plant a tree in a project called the Eden Reforestation Act for every single ball or bag that gets made and sent. So these arrive at your house around Earth Day. They explain that you're going to cut down on your electric and it's good for the environment, whatever. And also you're a part of giving back. A tree was planted in your honor for these dryer balls that are then received to you. Well, now the thing feels completely different, right? Coming around this time of year, tying it to Earth Day and why we chose to partner with these people. And in a way, without our members, our customers doing anything, you have just branded yourself and your business as the kind of person who would think to do something like this.
Yes.
Right? So that's a couple of examples on how, we know that the why you're doing it and the message that's tied to it is actually really what like hits home for somebody, because we do more testing than I care to admit. And like just sending dryer balls with a message, very little impact. Sending dryer balls with this type of message, huge.
Pause there. Think about that as a recipient right now, and think about how you think of your employer or your real estate agent or whoever. And then think about clicking on a link and choosing the coffee grounds. Which one felt a certain way? That's the differentiator. That's really what we're selling.
So how does like take a real estate example or an agent, for example, like how do they get started with it? Obviously they've got to give you their database. How many people should they be sending this to? What's the number of touches? Like how do you guys craft that? And then how do you figure out the interests?
Jay, so we focus on what?
We can talk about the transaction packages too, just in case it's interesting to their audience.
Yeah, so we focus on three pieces, and really for any relationship driven business, it kind of has three forms. What you're doing before, during, and after, in this case, a transaction in real estate. So we already know what happens after, because most agents are like, oh, what do you do for the closing gift? Well, I give Luke a knife with his name on it. Like, That's, that's very common where people just talk about what's the best closing gift, closing gift, closing gift. Well, we don't love the idea of a closing gift for a couple of reasons. One, it solidifies the end of a relationship. It's over. Here you go. And secondly, it quickly quantifies what that relationship is actually worth. So Luke's not an idiot. He knows how much I just got paid. And we just closed on a $2 million house or a $500,000 house. Doesn't matter. And I say, oh my God, thank you so much. Your trust means the world to me. Here's exactly how much it means to me. Like this bottle of wine, right? Or this Lowe's gift card. Yeah, whatever it is. And that is the closing. It's not impactful. It actually, I would say, is like a step back in what you're trying to do. So instead, what we do is we say, you got to focus on before, during, and after. So what that means is if I know that Luke's going to list his house or he's buying his house, there's going to be a kickstart gift that goes out the second I sign him up as a client before we've even gone into escrow on anything, right? So it's like a house hunting toolbox or a just listed kit or something like that. And then I know the customer journey because I've done it a million times. I know what parts of it are exciting to him, whether he's a buyer, a seller, investor. I know what parts are stressful. I know what parts he has to go like buy the moving boxes, like Jeff said, or switch utilities, or port his address, or anything like that. And so if I can map out this white glove concierge experience to touch on all these moments to elevate the peaks and mitigate against the pits, that's going to hit home really, really hard to capitalize on the customer journey. And then after would be like Jeff said, when he randomly got this umbrella 2.5 years after he closed escrow with me, right? He's like, wow, I'm still getting stuff from Jay every 3 months, like forever. Like, yeah, forever. And to Luke's point, Jeff still lives in that house. Okay. He bought that in 2015. So 9 years ago. So for me constantly pampering him and surprising him with these things, it's not because I want him to list his house with me. Like that should just be the obvious, right? That he's never, ever, ever going anywhere. But what it really is that I'm creating passionate referrals out of all of my raving fans where it's no longer this passive, like, oh yeah, you're looking to buy or sell real estate, like you should give Jay a call. He was great. And they're like, oh, well, Luke knows a guy at work and like he's going to introduce me to him. Like, all right, well, if it doesn't work out, you should hire Jay. Like, okay, that's like a passive referral, right? What's happened over the years through demonstrating this thoughtfulness is that anytime someone brings up that they're looking to buy or sell a home, Jeff is now going to hop into full like passionate mode as if I told him I'd never seen Shawshank Redemption or something. And he's going to be like, dude, how have you never seen that movie? Same idea of like, you cannot hire that real estate agent. Trust me when I say you're going to have the red carpet rolled out for you. You need to hire Jay. Like, dude, this guy sent us to a 5-star dinner 30 days after we close. Like, you have no idea what you're in for. Trust me. And he hops into that. So that's what you're doing. So for a real estate agent looking to get started, the most common way is start by plugging your active leaks. That means anyone you have ever sold a property to, ever. I don't care if it's 10 years ago. Anyone who's ever trusted you once before, who could perceivably go anywhere else to hire another agent now or in the future. Plug those leaks by staying top of mind with them and hitting them every 3 months today. Common question we get asked is like, oh, is that weird if like I sold a house 8 years ago and randomly someone starts hearing from me? No, it's not weird. It's not weird at all. It's just start it now. Okay, so that's the first thing. And then moving forward on every new client relationship, you start with the before, during, and after cadence, right? It's like, okay, I just signed a buyer. I'm going to hit him with the house hunting toolbox. And then boom, right when we go under contract, I'm going to hit him with a transaction package, which is going to take care of that customer journey on an automated basis. And then after that, top of mind will kick in. And that's the way people are using Client Giant and depending on it for their customer success.
Yeah, that's so good. It makes so much sense. I'm such a believer in it because we've seen on our side of the house from a content perspective, from social media posting to email to even the magazine that we do. The reason why it works is because it is all about just the client and it's content that they will enjoy versus transactional information 100%. And what's interesting to me is like when you look at like what you guys are doing, you're actually tying in impact from a charitable aspect. How often do you guys do that? Like, if I sign up for your program, is one of those dryer ball examples happening a year where it's like you have sourced out the giving back of the tree or the thing? Like, Is that part of the plan? Because I find that like I haven't run into another company that does endearment campaigns very well. I call them endearment campaigns where you're giving back at the same time you are promoting yourself in essence, even though it's not straight promotion. But do you guys do like one of those per year in your package, or how do I know that the tree thing is going to happen and see that?
Totally depends. So it's not a formula where it's like, one of 4 gifts are that or whatever. We're helping businesses in a lot of different ways. So like when Jeff said earlier, empowering you as the recipient to be the hero. One of the upcoming gifts is like this stack of a variety of different greeting cards, whether the occasion's a birthday or thank you or whatever it is. And there's a whole message around it so that someone has these things in their home to send out handwritten cards that they might otherwise not do. And the messaging there is like empowering someone to do that. In a lot of ways that we really, really help small businesses. So in this case, it was like abundantly clear. It's in everyone's face, and it's going toward a bigger cause. And there's several of those that will hit. But Jeff kind of spoke a little bit about volume earlier. So we're doing this on a massive, massive scale. So when we partner with a small business, we can transform their entire business overnight with one PO, right? So we're also assisting entrepreneurs and small businesses in promoting their growth and helping them. I mean, there's been a vendor.
I just caught what you're saying. You're literally, when you buy the gifts from that small business to do for all of your clients, you're basically lifting. It's like the Shark Tank effect. You're growing their sales by 1,000%.
It'll be the biggest.
It'll be the biggest. Mr. Wonderful.
It'll be the biggest PO they've probably ever seen. And then on top of that, once that distribution hits, it's what's the conversion of all the recipients that go to that website and now buy. Okay. So it's massive exposure as well.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
So that's a really, really fun part of what we do as well. And there was a situation where we had a vendor, that we partnered up with. We really liked their product, and so we put it together, and through the fulfillment process, we actually helped them change their entire fulfillment packaging and process to be more efficient and eco-friendly. So the thing that they were always doing, we're like, hey, we think you should actually do it like this. And because we're doing such high volume, they changed their whole SOP. They're like, this is just what we're going to do now on everything. Like our packages are going to change forever this way. Which is cool.
How long have you guys been doing this, by the way?
Since May 2018.
6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you still practicing real estate, Jay, or are you doing this now full time, like just all in?
No, so we launched our beta May 2018, and inside of 6 months, Client Giant was in all 50 states in Canada, and I actually owned a Remax franchise at the time. And had to sell my interest in that brokerage by September. So like, not only did I was like done with real estate, because
what's funny about that though is he kept for a long time. He kept his clients on our top of mind plan, like the automated version of what he used to do
forever.
And he had like his sister and a couple of people, whatever, that were still practicing real estate. For 5 years or something like that, he's still getting like as many referrals just from literally they're just still on top of mind, and he's just handing them out.
I was golfing a couple months ago, and we're on the 3rd hole, and I get this text, and it's just like this number. It's like, hey, I want you to list my house. I'm like, cool. I send it to like a referral agent. I'm like, I just got a listing on the 3rd hole. I never talked to the person. I don't even know who the person is, but like, that's what ends up happening when you get the passionate referral I was speaking about earlier. It's no longer like, oh, hey, can you come do a listing presentation? It's just like, if I tell Jeff, hey, this is the guy who's going to build your pool, he's not like, great, I'll set up an interview with him. He's like, cool, I'm going to hire him. That's
exactly right.
I've done the shopping for him. He doesn't need like, it's not an at-bat. It's the pool guy's job to lose. He has to majorly screw up in order to not get that business. And it's just handed on a silver platter.
Well, the through line here, Luke, you said something at the very beginning. It might even been before we were rolling, but when you're talking about like a real estate agent that just keeps putting content on there that's just like straight up about real estate, but their life is so much bigger, right? Like I used to tell entrepreneurs, like I was a mentor for young entrepreneurs doing things. I would tell them about content specifically, right? Like content marketing. Like, give yourself permission to make the story bigger, right? It's not that I just do this. I do all of this. This is my entire being. So it kind of like drives it home in what you guys are talking about now, because when you start taking care of the people that you work with, yes, you met them during a transaction, right? And so that's how you came together. But when you start taking care of them and literally develop what is, it feels like a true friendship, the story is now way, way, way bigger. Now they know that they started with you in real estate, and that's how the transaction started. And they know that the only thing they can do to help you, right, in just the law of human reciprocity, is to give you people, like give you referrals, right, help you grow your business. But what ends up happening is, like to Jay's point about the pool, the win for you is that you now become their trusted resource for anything that has to do with almost anything related to living, because you got them to live where they live. Does that make sense? Like, it might sound weird, but it's like, it could be, Jay would get calls from people that are asking like restaurants in the area, or like, hey, I've got a broken doorknob. Do you have a handyman? Like, you just become everything. Then that if you become that go-to person because you've created this relationship, the story is now way bigger, and you are just that obvious resource for everything. They're going to do everything they possibly can to help you.
Yeah, I love that. And I think my experience has taught me that doing what you guys do, and then now all of a sudden your drip of want to know what your home's worth actually means something. Like,
Sure.
it literally takes your other drip that you're doing, your market content stuff that we don't even do for people. Like, I think of like HomeBot, right? For instance, is a great company that does like that whole, update on what your home's worth. It actually makes that skyrocket in just how I appreciate it and how much I trust it, because I don't feel like it's just a drip that I'm getting from Jeff, but I feel like, oh no, Jeff is really invested in my relationship. So it's like the gifting just freaking elevates everything else that you do.
I don't know if you know him or you're a fan of his stuff, but so Gary Vee wrote that book like 6 or 8 years ago that was Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Yep.
And he originally wanted to call it, like he joked about wanting to call it jab, 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 right hook. That's literally what that is. They're not jabs, they're genuine care, but it's like, if you ever at whatever point want to poke at or ask something of somebody that you've been showing genuine care for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they are going to help you.
Yep. I tell people this all the time with like a cup of coffee. It's like, don't underestimate a cup of coffee. It's not about the buying the coffee for the person. It's spending the time with them. Like if you and I grabbed a cup of coffee, if I was out your way, it's like every other thing that you see from me, whether it's a Facebook ad that week or an email in your inbox from me, all of a sudden it skyrockets in importance because we had that coffee, that actual relationship thing happen, right?
Yes.
And the gifting is the closest thing to that same type of feeling. In my book, it's like the closest thing you can do for massive amounts of people on autopilot, which is the key for business, right? Because you're trying to, obviously do a lot of business. So you got to do this for 500 people, do this for 300 people or whatever. But it's like the closest thing. It just takes it. And Gary Vee, the thing that triggered it when you say Gary Vee has this thing when he was up on stage one time and he goes, people ask me all the time, what's the ROI of this? And he goes, well, what's the ROI of a cup of coffee? Like, how do you measure the ROI? But having a cup of coffee is a great thing. Like you're supposed to do it. It's like, and everybody's like, what's the ROI? What's the ROI? It's like, what's the ROI of a relationship? It's
we especially in this industry, we hear a lot of funny things that have to do with that. We'll have people that I'm like obsessed when we have members that are super data driven because they measure everything. And then I'll hit them up and we'll talk a year later. I'll give you, well, what was your referral rate at this point? What was your referral rate at this? What's going on with this, whatever. And it's always a funny conversation because they'll be like, well, my referrals this year after starting with this thing went up by 18%. And, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, but I mean, like I do, I don't know really for sure that it was, and you're like, did you do anything else? Was there something else that you tried? Like, well, no, but I mean, like people like me, and I met with them like, okay, so you implemented the one thing and you doubled your referrals, and we're not sure what this came from.
That's so We experienced the
Same
exact same thing. People will literally tell me, I'll be like, well, what'd they think of the magazine when you sent it to them? Oh, they loved it. Oh, they loved it. I got some phone calls on it and everything, but can't really tie anything to it. I'm just like, what is wrong with you people? What is it feels sometimes like real estate is one of the only businesses, even though this is not true, but it's like real estate's the only business where it's like the farmer plants a seed in the ground and expects to list a crop tomorrow. They expect the listing tomorrow. Like I planted the seed today, I expect the listing tomorrow. And you're just like,
gotta try different seed. That wouldn't work.
Yeah, no farmer
Yeah, totally.
seed and expects the crop tomorrow. It's like, come on, people.
That's why I know that, I mean, we have talked almost 100% about real estate, but like in financial advisory, right, and wealth management, where we're pretty heavy as well. I love that vertical specifically for that, because the business people, I think, are more understanding of the investment and measurement. And specifically, if a financial advisor, when they sell services, like if they're just working on AUM, that's fine, and they'll see growth and they measure ROI and they're happy with us. But if they sell like life insurance policies, or they can sell a 401k to a business or something where they make money, like they can be ROI positive in a matter of weeks. And there's not like it's pretty damn black and white. Like they just started this, gifts started arriving, they got a whole bunch of inbound phone calls, which financial advisors clients do not call them.
Yeah.
Like they're normally they're not reaching out to you, right? We call that eliciting life share, right? Like you send these things out, it makes people feel good. They call and they share their life with you, and then you're talking about what that is. Oh yeah, you did have a baby. That's great. If you ever want to talk to me about life insurance, now that you've got a kid, let me know. Right.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens. They sell a policy, like it can happen overnight. They're not waiting for someone to move. And it's very black and white. So that's always helpful. But you're right, real estate is, it feels like they view a lot of gray when things are not gray.
It's but you run into like the top producers or the people. It's like, do you guys know Amy Stockberger? Do you know her?
Talked about her. Yeah, you know what? I want to say that when you told me about her, she signed up, and I don't think she really ever did much. So we gotta hit her up.
Hold over. She is incredible at the VIP treatment of her clients. I'd be curious. You guys should get a hold of her and see, because I think this would fit right into her wheelhouse. But she's kind of doing it almost on steroids. We did a whole interview with her. I've talked about her a bunch since that interview because she blew my mind, like just all the stuff she's doing for her clients. But it's, that's the approach that you have to take now. Like you have to take this approach of like, she's doing, Jay, what you did to Jeff of, the restaurant calling and saying, when would you like to come in? It's like that type of stuff where it's just so massive. You're like, holy cow, she has all this stuff that clients can use, like tables and chairs and popcorn machines and stuff for their events and all this stuff out there. It's pretty incredible. But she's someone that I go, oh, that's the new model of real estate. And so if you guys can get her on your program, she might become an advocate for you guys because of
Amy, I don't know if you're a viewer here, but if you are,
yes,
South Dakota, she's going to do like 500 deals this year. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But you guys
I
are.
don't know if you're watching. Hit me up.
Yeah, Amy, hit him up.
Because we do those, by the way. We haven't talked about this. I know we're probably long on time here, but we still do that. So the red carpet experience that Jay created for everybody 8 years ago, whatever, at our transaction package, there's levels where it literally includes that. We have personal concierge that are like concierge to agents' clients for like a whole 60-day period. We've got concierge that are setting up the dinner. They call the client on your behalf. They say, I'm a personal concierge working on behalf of Luke. He'd love to have you and your wife out to dinner. You've been in your house for about 30 days now. Is there somewhere in your area that you've always been wanting to go to dinner? Round trip transportation will be taken care of. And then if they don't have anything, like our concierge is sitting there ready with like the Zagat guide, like 5 top restaurants in the area. We're happy to set this up for you.
That's amazing.
So yeah, Amy, if you're watching, email me and
we're going to tie
get
all this together. I know we've talked about it a ton. Like I'm somehow going to find out. I feel like you guys' gifting mixed with our touch points is going to be like dynamite. Like
DMAC, I know DMAC, you're watching. We got to get back on another call and get this thing going.
Come on, where's our VP of corporate sales right now? We need to make this happen. But I feel like
gifting
mixed with the other touch points going, it's going to be dynamite.
How do people sign up?
Clientgiant.com.
Clientgiant.com. Awesome.
And also, when you go there, I'm going to throw it up on this. When you go there, because I'm not talking about my 76 that I shot yesterday anymore. When you go there, there's gonna be, because we know everybody's business is different. We know that some agents, and by the way, we didn't get into like brokerages and teams and huge things. Like we now work at that level where we're helping large teams with sometimes thousands of agents, and they implement it as a corporation where they have ancillary businesses and they've got title and they've got escrow and they've got lending, and we're built to incorporate all that, and they can basically sign up all their agents, so it can work at a level like that too. So when you go to clientgiant.com, there's a spot there to be able to do like a free consultation. I want to say maybe it says demo or something. Somebody will jump on a call with you, learn exactly what stage your business is at, what you're trying to do, and give you like a program that is exactly right for what you're trying to accomplish. It's very easy to do, but it isn't exactly one size fits all. So they'll help you with the best use of your investment.
Love it. Jeff, Jay, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you all so much for listening. You can get the link as well as the show notes for this episode over at staypaidpodcast.com. And if you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, head on over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Drop us a review. And the best way to support the show is to share this episode with someone that you know. If you want to reach out to me or Luke, you can get us at podcast@remindermedia.com. And of course, you can follow us on social. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Awesome episode. Jeff, Jay, did not disappoint. I didn't expect you guys to, but well done. Awesome company in Client Giant. I want people to go check it out. I mean, I think if you're not doing gifting, you're really missing out on a huge opportunity. 65% of all listings, according to NAR's buyer and seller trend report, if you trace where they came from last year, came from referral and repeat business. 65%. And everybody wants to be the listing agent right now with everything that's going on. So my challenge to you would be, are you spending at least 65% of your marketing budget on trying to build relationships to get referrals? 65% of your time and energy in prospecting and the phone calls you're making? Like gifting is one aspect to be able to go do that. So check it out. But here's what my challenge is to you is I think you should pick your top 5 advocates right now and do a gift for them. Because you can do that without Reminder Media. You can do that without Client Giant, even though I think you should go check them out. But pick your top 5 people and do something special for them this week. And I think you'll be shocked. Maybe just take them to a cup of coffee. Maybe do the coffee thing. And remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.